Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for the AIME Women's Mortgage Network's Growth Series. This series is here for you to educate, inspire, and share your progress as we lift each other up to new levels. In celebration of Valentine's Day, we have two WMN members and their spouses who are going to provide their insights on how to successfully work with your spouse and grow your business and your personal relationships. Let's meet our panelists. From Arizona, we have Ryan and Jessica Eller. They are the lending team at Price Mortgage. And from Oregon, we have Claire Mahoney. She is the VP and mortgage broker at Mortgage First Corporation, and her wonderful husband, Matt Mahoney. He is the realtor at Homestar Brokers. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And Claire and Matt, thank you for going with the flow. I know that you don't have any power in your office at the moment, and you're kind of making it work. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's kick it off here, guys. Jessica and Ryan, let's take you back to when you were thinking of working as a team. What were some of the thoughts that were going through your mind, and how did you set it up? Like, did you just dive in and say, guys, we're going to do this? Or was it, okay, let's think about this and let's figure out the best way to structure it?
Well, we had previously owned a gym together, so we worked together for 8 years. We were well aware of what our strengths and weaknesses were. At the time of doing it, it was more of a necessity because of daycare costs, and one of us was able to be home while the other one was working. So then when we closed the gym, and Ryan had been in mortgages for a little over a year, I was bored at home, and I knew that, just watching him work and stuff at home sometimes, I knew where the gaps were and I knew that I could help. So I kind of just said, hey, I'm going to go work with you. And that's kind of how it went.
So it wasn't really... It wasn't really a situation where you thought about it. It was kind of Jessica stepping up and saying, hey, this is what the plan is and what we're going to do. So Ryan, how did you feel about that?
Usually the case. I'm used to it. That's just Jessica. So I just made the rule number one is you're just not allowed to stab the other person while they sleep.
Yeah.
That's rule number one.
As long as you go with that, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, right.
All right, so Claire and Matt, you guys have a little bit of a different dynamic because you're not necessarily working in the mortgage brokerage, but you are working together, from the real estate and mortgage side. Was it always that situation, or was that over time developed?
So we've only been married 3 years, and I've been in the mortgage industry for coming up on 8 years. But I was always kind of familiar with the whole working with family because I own our business with my dad. My mom's been our bookkeeper since I was in 3rd grade, so I saw it done to some degree. But yeah, I mean, I was not on a mission to marry a realtor, and I wasn't on a mission to marry you, but it just kind of happened that way, and it's worked out really well because, I mean, even though he's not directly like on paper part of Mortgage First, he is a huge part of like bouncing ideas off and like in the weeds with me and a lot of the ownership kind of stuff, and like where the trajectory is, because the plan is my dad would like to retire and like this will be our thing. So he's very much a part of it. And then obviously we have a lot of overlap with transactions of mutual clients. But I mean, overall, I think it's a benefit. I like that. And you like that we do different things where there isn't like a competition directly, I guess.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that part of it. And Jessica and Ryan, that actually brings up a good question before we circle back on where Claire was going with that. Do you guys have that? Because you are in the same company. Do you have that competition, both being type A personalities?
You know what? Not really, because we truly are a team and we have separate jobs. We have, we both play to our strengths, and my weaknesses are his strengths and vice versa. So there's
That's
really
awesome.
not any of that competition because we just feed off of each other, and at the end of the day, we both get the same paycheck.
But
So-
she still hates it that mine has an extra 0 on it. She goes, I do all the work. Why does yours have extras? It does not make any sense.
Technically, I'm the LOA.
Right.
And he's the originator. Even though we're both licensed, I do originate too. It's just kind of the way that we do things. So, but no, we don't have, we don't keep a tab of who's doing what. It's all.
So take us down that road. It sounds like you have figured out that you need to have that structure and the boundaries as far as this is your role, this is my role, this is how we work together. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Exactly. Things were falling through the cracks a little bit on his end because he's not as organized as I am. And there was a little bit of, stepping on each other's toes at the beginning. There was a lot of fighting. But over time, we've just, this is what you do. This is what I do. Do your job. And then everything's great.
Yeah. So I do all the sales and marketing, and then she does all of the back end. So once an application comes in, I hand it off. And I don't touch it other than if she says, hey, I need to call this person and discuss this. And she makes sure that I do not get into her files at all.
Yeah. And
that is so valuable though. It's
so it helps. Like he likes talking to people on the phone and I really don't love it. So while I do it and, it's part of the job, a lot of the times I'll pass it off to him and just say, here, take
Jessica is very analytical and everything is just this way or that way. So when she's talking numbers, it's perfect because she can just say, hey, here's the deal, how it works, boom, boom. But it's more of a like
schmoozy.
Yeah, like if you need to make someone feel good about the situation or explain it. So if it's bad news, I have to call, but also if it's good news, I have to call. Yeah. That's my job.
But that is so valuable. What a great team effort. Right? That's fabulous as a team. Okay, so now Claire, let's go back. So let's speak about those personalities, right? And we had a great conversation the other day when you were speaking about how you really do believe that you have to know, this actually ties perfectly into what Ryan was just saying about that communication and having that communication. So tell us a little bit of how you have learned the value and the importance of proper communication within your relationship and outwards into your clients.
Yeah, well, there's definitely elements of like we can play off each other's strengths and fill in for each other. But if you're familiar with like the Enneagram, we're both 3 with 2 wings. So like we're very much the same. So I think if we were both like you guys with the LO and the LOA, I think we would it would be good. So I think it's great that we didn't have to make any like major changes to accommodate that, but we realized that after we were married, like we did this Enneagram thing and we're like, wow, it's really interesting. Like we realized we were like had a lot in common, but we're like, wow, we really like think the same. And so realizing that has been, kind of eye-opening of like understanding each other and in business and in our marriage. And I thought it was a really interesting, we read Road Back to You, and it was really, really interesting for figuring out how we interact and how, our kids and our parents and people we work with, it was really helpful with that. I don't have to keep talking.
I would suggest what your number is and how you relate to loved ones and coworkers. It's a game changer in building relationship, and you can do that with clients too. It's helpful,
yeah,
for sure, because you know how to communicate with them in a way that they're wanting to receive it. Similar to like the 5 love languages. I mean,
yep.
Learning how the other person receives your communication is important. So
yeah,
it's been beneficial to us.
Yeah, and I think that really, I mean, listen, we know that just being married is, difficult enough sometimes, right? And then when you add working together, that leads me to the next question, and we'll start with Jessica and Ryan. So and Claire, you've got a whole nother layer because your family is also in the mortgage business. So let's tie into where's that separation? Because I know, listen, my kids are in the mortgage business, and we have this running joke that no one wants to be at a barbecue with us because all we ever do is talk about mortgages, and all we ever do is talk about loans. So Jessica and Ryan, how do you have that separation? Because, every minute of the day and night, speaking about the Smith family or speaking about loan programs and things like that, there has to be some type of break. So what have you done to have that?
Break.
So,
you were in Sedona this weekend, weren't you? Was that one?
So we work all the time. We don't really get breaks, but we decided that we have to have hobbies. We have to have something that, is just not the same, because otherwise you're talking about work, you're talking about kids, and you have literally nothing else to say to each other.
Because we work together, we live together. Our office is at the house, so we are literally together 24/7.
Yeah.
So we had a small house, as COVID went down, and we were literally like at the wit's end, like having an office in the living room with the 3 kids and just having to run to the bedroom, shut the door, try to take phone calls. So we were at a breaking point there. So we decided we were going to go get a house that had 2 closed door offices. And that has like changed everything for us. It's so much better.
Major game changer. Yeah. We had to do it. It was with everybody running around. It was just so much chaos. It was so much stress from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to bed. Everybody was just on top of each other. So
and I'm loud. I'm sitting here like dancing, listening to music.
It has to be louder than
doing phone calls, and she was like, "Can you just shut up so I can focus on these numbers?"
But so let's go back to the hobbies. So one of the things so 2 things. One, you decided it was time for a change to get a bigger house, to be able to have a little bit of space and quiet area. And then the second thing is having something besides work and the kids, some type of outside hobby. So that has been something that's been helpful, right?
It's a necessity. Like, you have to have it. I don't know how you can keep your sanity and not have some sort of an outlet that's not your kids or mortgages or whatever the case is.
What's the number one hobby in mortgages? Is drinking, right? And so that just it's too much, like you're just too much stress, if you're just every night you're just drinking and then you just feel worse. Like, we decided like we needed something that we look forward to 2 to 3 times a week, that it's like, okay, I need to be done with my work, get done, and then go out and do my hobby. And that's helped a lot.
Otherwise, there are no boundaries. You end up working until 9-10 o'clock at night. You're not taking that break for yourself.
Great. All right, Claire and Matt, what have you guys learned, to have that separation so there's a little bit of time outside work?
Well, we forked over a whole lot of money and put our kids in private school so they could go to in-person, because that was the only option here in Oregon. And that seriously has been,
that's a game changer.
Yeah. And not just for us, but for our kids, like the routine and, the amount of school hours they have compared to their peers. I know that they're learning a lot more this way. So that's been huge for an element of routine. And so we have our own things that we're doing. And also, this has been the last year plus has been crazy for the mortgage business. So busier than ever. And, paying for a house cleaner, and I hired
landscaper.
Yeah. The things that we're okay, these things don't bring us joy, they bring us more stress. So have somebody else do them, so we have more to give at the end of the day to our kids and stuff. We probably should have hobbies. We don't really have hobbies. We have 6 kids. It's kind of hard to carve out time for that, but we do really protect date night every other Friday.
Oh, great.
We have a blended family, and so those are 2 nights that we have no kids, and that is non-negotiable, always date night. And so we do sometimes talk about work, but we try not to during those times. So
because we're not doing the same thing, we don't have all the same files.
Yeah.
I think we closed 20 plus deals last year together, but there's a whole lot of other business that we're not doing together, where we're bouncing things off of each other. I'm asking her loan related questions that I may not know the answer to, and she does, or she may be asking questions about like this dumb realtor that doesn't know what they're doing and writes a contract bad and asks me questions about it.
Yep.
And,
No, well, you guys probably get to really bounce a lot of things off, like whether it's speaking about a property or whether it's a loan program or whether, questions of other transactions that you're not working on together, right? That's probably extremely valuable.
Yeah, and we don't step on each other's toes too much, but occasionally the nice thing is that she's seen all these other contracts from realtors. She could be like, well, why don't you try this? Or I work with other lenders, and I'm also, my degree's in finance, so I understand that a little bit more than most realtors. And sometimes I'll be like, well, why don't you have the spouse refinance a car into their name, and that'll free up your DTI, and things like that. We'll sometimes be able to give input from our experiences.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, Ryan and Jessica, we always like to provide, great value out to anyone that's watching this too. So we want to jump into, and I'm going to ask Claire and Matt also, in regards to technology tools, collaboration tools, something that you guys are using that has also really helped you in this crazy busy time. What are some of the tools that you're currently using within your company?
I would say that Flowify has to be one of our number one tools, because I don't think I've ever taken a paper application or anything over the phone. Everything is done on there. I can request documents from there. And then if he needs to see, if somebody's brought documents in, instead of bugging me, he can just go into the system and check it out, and then he can bug them about it. So I think Flowify is like hands down our biggest tool.
And we're going to take that a step further. So we're having a custom app built out. It'll be like on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And from that, people can download the app. They can upload the files. It'll push out. So it's like Flowify, but it actually connects to the LOS, and it's going to be like next level. And we can actually pump out pre-approvals from the app, so we don't have to be at the computer. So if we're out with the family and the kids, we can literally just click a button and send out a pre-approval to a realtor or client.
Oh, that is awesome.
A different form than anyone else. So it's harder to do that on the fly. You can't just write something up real quick. It's an actual like legal form where you have to check all these boxes. So that's difficult to do when you're not.
Awesome. So is that going to be your own custom app, or is it through a company that it's their custom app?
They're building it out for us, but it'll be custom to us. Like all our branding and everything like that will be on there. And then it just allows us to communicate with the borrower and the realtor simultaneously or separately, all from the phone. Because our biggest is we want to do more stuff with the kids, and it's so stressful when you have to bring a computer with you and connect, and like people want stuff now, and if you don't do it, they will go somewhere else. It's just a matter of there's so many options now.
It's either that or the realtor that's at the open house is like, come with me, I'll take care of that for you, right? So that's great that you're able to provide that. And like you said, you can still have that family time, or you can be out and you're not worried about losing something. That's great. Well, that's exciting. That is wonderful.
Yeah, that's number one. And then note taking. So I got this thing called a Remarkable, and when you write on it, and it feels like paper, but it stores to the cloud. So as I'm, talking to the clients, because that's what I do, I'll take notes on there, and then Jessica can pull up those notes and see like what I wrote. And that's something new we're doing. So we're still kind of working out, like fine tuning, what I'm including, what I'm not. Sometimes I do forget to do it if I'm on the fly, but I'm like 80% doing it now. And that helps her out a ton. So she's not like, okay, I have no idea who is this person that came in.
So question, have you guys used the new URLA yet? Have you started the new version? Oh, yeah, I will tell you when you see, there's pluses and minuses, right? When you see the amount of questions, you're going to be like, oh my goodness gracious. But on the flip side, it really does help on the operations side. Like Jessica's going to be like, okay, I know there's all these questions, but my file won't get stuck later down the road because something popped up. I mean, I do think it will help longer down the road, but those questions up front are intense. You are definitely taking your time going through that application. That's for sure.
Except that's the problem, is that most borrowers do not take their time. Like,
Right.
they will not fill out that REO section. Like, then you're just guessing and having to call them back, and that is a pain.
Yep.
So I'm a little bit nervous about how that is, because a lot of people already don't take their time, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yes, it's gonna be a changer, that's for sure. All right, Claire and Matt, what tools are like, I have to use these tools, they've been a life changer, it's really saved us a lot of time. What are you guys using in your companies?
I would say probably three things, but first and foremost is the Apple like iCalendar, that we have like a synced calendar. We have 6 kids and we both work full time, and although our calendar has gotten less full with COVID, like there's not as many concerts and games and practices and whatever, but it's still a lot. So we have a shared, like a linked calendar, and it's linked to the kids. And so we have like a work calendar, a home calendar, a kids calendar. And so it's literally like 8 different colors. But I mean, we would not be able to keep our heads on straight without that. So that's huge. And then HomeBot has been really great for us. We have, some linked clients, but some that are just his past clients, my past clients, but that's huge for just remaining top of mind. And I mean, last year I closed a whole lot of refinance clients that were his past database that weren't my mutual clients before. And so that was great for me. And then also Flowify is huge. I started about a year ago, and I'm like, where has this been all my life? It was so huge. And then it's great for realtors to be able to check in and see the status, get the milestone updates, and see what's, if they're still missing things. So that's been huge too.
That is awesome. Do you guys use any type of collaborative tool, like anything to keep you guys, or just pretty much the calendar and that's good?
Probably the calendar.
Yeah, pretty much the calendar.
Awesome.
And then the Flowify updates,
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And that's great that you were able to help and refinance and help out those families that Matt originally had. That's fantastic. All right, so Jessica and Ryan, what's that one piece of advice that you would give? Let's say there's a team out there, a husband and wife team that are kind of thinking of coming together. What should they be thinking about before they become that team? And if they are currently a team, what's that thing to just keep in mind to always remain fresh and make sure that you're able to continue as a team both ways, through marriage and through working together? Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
He said clear defined roles. I would say honesty. A lot of relationships, my friends' relationships, people that I know, watching them, people are not honest with each other because they're afraid of hurting each other's feelings. We are not afraid of hurting each other's feelings. Business, I mean, we do get emotional. I get emotional about things, but we have to have that honesty, and sometimes it's brutal honesty, because otherwise we're going to end up resenting each other, and that wouldn't be good for anybody.
So like for me, Jessica's like, you just have to get more organized, and things are falling through the cracks. She's like, you need to step up your game here. And for her, I have to remind her, hey, when you're sending out some of these emails, can you run it by me first? Because the way that you word it, it's just going to piss that person off. Like, you have to put a little bit of like feels in there, and not just like, hey, you suck, your credit sucks, you're not qualified, sorry.
It's not that big.
It's not, I'm exaggerating, but like, I always like to give somebody a path to yes, even if it's just a really long, hard road.
Sure.
Yeah, so
sure.
Yeah, honesty is definitely the biggest thing. And then another thing, we get people coming to us all the time saying, relationship goals and, what is the secret? And the secret is that we don't put the bad stuff out on social media. So nobody knows that we're at home fighting about anything. Nobody knows that, we're extremely stressed out with business. We don't feel like that's something that we want to put out there. So I think for people to remember that who they're following on social media and those people that have relationship goals, like it doesn't mean that it doesn't come without hard times too.
Right. There's always good times and always hard times. You just have to be very prepared for that.
Absolutely. And I think you are so right. I mean, any relationship begins with honesty and trust. right? So I think when you could be open and honest with each other, regardless of what it is, then you can get through anything. I love that. All right. Thank you for sharing. That was great. All right, Matt and Claire, what's that advice? If you want to start to go into business together, work as a team, what do you think that advice you would give?
I guess in our situation, being in two, I guess, parallel businesses in the same industry, we're not going to have as much interaction as if you were both mortgage brokers. So if a spouse is looking at getting into real estate or mortgage and the other one's in the other profession, the one that's already the professional probably could be helpful, but not too pushy. Let them find their role there. Don't define it for them. Not that we had that issue because we both came in experienced, but communicate. Yeah. We do that well. I think one thing that I find when I'm trying to promote my wife as a lender to a potential client is that I get pushback thinking, well, you know, they're going to make money off of us. And, right. I mean, there's lots of different walls that go up.
Yep.
But we have yet to have a client that has worked with both of us not praise us for communication and how easy the process was. Because typically we're able to communicate about a deal, and if something could go wrong, we can resolve it, just us talking, before the client even knows, and they 90% of the time they don't even know there was a hiccup. We take care of it. And so it comes across easy to them, which is great. That's what we want. But I think communication and honesty, just being straightforward. I mean, especially when it comes to, you know, cutting off the phones and responding to clients, is just making sure that we have time together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like not taking things personal. I think we both do a good job of like, like not getting offended about, you know, hey, like, I really want you to just get off your phone for a little while, like while we're at dinner or whatever. Or like, I just can't talk about any other deals for the rest of the night. Or if there's, you know, like there's times where you've referred me clients and I'm like, these people aren't qualified. Like, I don't, they're not qualified. Like, so.
And then sometimes I have to say, well, check their taxes again.
But, yeah, I mean,
I'm usually right if I have to ask you again, though.
Sometimes.
Oh.
I hate being wrong, and there's definitely not wrong, but I have to admit that I can be wrong, and sometimes you're wrong too.
But I think you hit on something very important, not to take it personal, because, you know, when you're working together in business, that is the business component of it. You know, it's not the personal side. So I think you do have to have that separation and that break in between too. So I love that. But once again, it looks like you kind of piggybacked a little bit off of what Jessica said in that honesty. And then, of course, I know you're very in tune with communication, and that really is so valuable and important. All right, guys, you have been wonderful. These insights are fantastic. Such great, valuable information. And bottom line, our relationships, whether it's that we're married to each other or whether it's our team members that we have our relationships with, all of this applies across the board, right? So thank you so much for sharing. We truly appreciate it. I hope you had a fantastic Valentine's Day yesterday, and we wish you all the best in the future. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.